Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is Sicario. So this is a film I'd kind of dismissed when it first came out. I just thought it was a kind of generic action film, which isn't really my cup of tea. But then after learning more about it, seeing the critical reception, seeing that it was directed by Denis Villeneuve, that's got me really excited to see it. Because honestly, I really don't have any information about this other than it's Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, Josh Brolin. But like in terms of the actual plot, all I've seen is like army people, like people with guns, people with big guns. That's like all I've seen, and I'm pretty sure it's like quite grounded. There's nothing fantasy or sci-fi going on here. It's like modern day, pretty grounded. So I'm excited to see where all of this praise is coming from. And of course, Denis Villeneuve is an amazing director, so I do trust him with this as well. So before we jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon. Over there you can find early access to next week's video a week early. You can also find full-length timer-based reactions where you can just sync up your own footage and watch along with me. And you can find polls so you can vote for what's next. So yeah, let's just jump right in. Emily Blunt is really like cementing herself as a bit of an action star now with this, and with Live Die Repeat or Edge of Tomorrow, whatever you want to call it. She's in quite a few action things now, and I think that helps with her kind of case for being Sue Storm, if that's actually the direction they're going to go with the MCU Fantastic Four. Mexico, it means hitman. Yeah, I know this is set in Mexico or like Central America. So is it about a group of hitmen? Is that Daniel Kaluuya? It's hard to tell. There wasn't a clear shot. Right through his living room, okay. No knocking and entering, just straight through the wall. Ooh.
You okay, Mesa?
Yeah. Why'd he shoot? There's no one here.
Yeah, that definitely is him. Is it in the walls? There's like drugs hidden in the walls or something? Or a body? That looks like could be a body in a bag. Okay. She's probably gonna have to deal with some of this trauma, I'm guessing, because like instantly when she killed that guy, it showed right on her face, and now they're all like throwing up outside. Obviously it's something they're trained for, but it still affects you mentally, right? So what was this, a drug bust or something else? There's just loads and loads of bodies, wow. But this wasn't what they were searching for, right? They were here for something else. Just to arrest the people that were here?
It's one of the houses owned by Manuel Diaz.
No way to connect him, but he owns it.
So then they dropped Diaz. Is this someone quite high up, like a cartel leader or something?
PD found something.
Basement, that's got even more bodies or something. Something tells me this is gonna go. Yeah, I thought it was booby traps. That was exactly what I was thinking. There was something off. Something felt wrong. Is Reggie okay? Oh. Yeah, this is really delving straight into like the psychology of it. This is almost like a horror, seeing all those bodies and the body parts. That's cool, not seeing her reflection, the condensation. I wonder what that's supposed to mean.
Major escalation for the cartels.
Okay, yeah, so it's tied to a cartel. Does it mean like she doesn't recognize herself when she looks in the mirror anymore? That could be what that symbolizes.
No lawyers on this train. Just give me the girl.
He did this by the book, right?
Come on, of course.
So he's a lawyer, so he's worried about the legal side of it.
How familiar are you with Manuel Diaz's operation?
He has other legitimate businesses, but he's rumored to be linked with one of the Mexican cartels.
Manuel Diaz works for the Sonora cartel.
Sonora cartel, that's the name of the cartel, okay. So it's kind of hard to like pinpoint because he's got legitimate business and stuff.
Are you married?
Am I married?
Or do you have a husband?
Is he hitting on her, or is he trying to get information like about her? Yeah, she's got no kids, she not planning a family. There's nothing to get in the way of her and her work.
Who are those people, you know?
No idea.
He's in flip-flops. Yeah, being there, being so casual, just in flip-flops, he must have a lot of power.
Yeah, we're gonna go see Guillermo.
Diaz's brother.
That's the one.
He's surprisingly, like, casual about it.
Papá, despiértate.
Ya, hombre, ya.
Vamos, papá, tenemos que ir al juego de fútbol.
Is this Guillermo who they're going to see? But he's in Mexico at the moment, so they wouldn't have jurisdiction here. Drinking in the day? Oh, he's a police officer here in Mexico, okay. I do hope it's not just shown as the Mexicans are all bad, you know, it's only the cartels. I hope we see good Mexican people as well, like that guy's a police officer, maybe he's a good guy as well working with them. Yeah, I hope it's just not like one-sided, like the Americans are coming in to save the day from the evil Mexicans, that kind of thing. But I have faith in Denny that he wouldn't make it so black and white like that.
DOD flies around in private jets now.
He's always got to have his shoes off, it seems.
We're going to El Paso, right?
Yeah,
He seems like so laid back about everything. But if it was like, it might be not an act, but like it might be like the flip of a switch when things get serious, he does come into action. Because he wouldn't be so high up being the way he is. He's nervous, or no, he's asleep. Maybe it's just like PTSD. Yeah, okay, PTSD.
You're asking me how a watch works. For now, let's just keep an eye on the time.
Not much conversation happening here. She's not getting much info, is she?
So who's going over there today?
Marshals, DEA. I pulled a team for you, man.
Oh man, I love it when you say team. It makes me all warm and fuzzy.
Hoping Daniel Kaluuya is in this a bit more as well. They didn't want him for this mission, but maybe they'll get him in for another mission later in the movie.
Mexican Federal Police will meet you at the border and proceed with you to the courthouse located here.
You sober?
Will be by the time we get there.
Got a bottle in the truck in case your hands get shaky.
Yeah, it's surprising how just kind of relaxed they are about everything, how casual it is.
I thought you were in prison.
They needed somebody for this job.
Good behavior or bad behavior?
She feels out of her depth here. Yeah, she didn't get much information about the actual mission there, did she?
Nothing will make sense to your American ears. And you will doubt everything that we do.
What does that mean? Nothing will make sense to your American ears. It won't make sense the way they're doing things.
Just pay attention to Alejandro, and if he says do something, just do it.
I'm not authorized to follow orders from Alejandro, especially in Mexico.
Fine, then stay here.
I just want to know what I'm getting into.
You know you're doing nothing in Phoenix.
I don't know if this is supposed to be building mistrust in him or not. She obviously doesn't trust him, but is that just because she doesn't really know what like department he works for? You're really building up the tension with some of these shots here, just these establishing shots. Look at that, they're right through the border without question. So is this must all be by the books that have jurisdiction to come over into Mexico for some reason. Or not? Oh, this is... Yeah, so they're like working with the Mexican police force. Are we going to see that guy that we had seen earlier who was a police officer? But he doesn't seem to be... These seem much more like armed than he was. Yeah, so it's like all in collaboration with Mexico. I like, you know, they're not doing the yellow filter over everything just because we're in Mexico. It's shown as quite colourful and vibrant actually, isn't it?
Welcome to Juarez.
Oh. Oh, they're like dismembered as well, missing body part. What's all that about?
They make people think they must have been involved. They must deserve such a death because they did something.
But is it just to show and make people scared of the cartel?
You hear that?
Focusing on this door right there.
There's activity ahead. We need to go around. Everyone hold on.
Is the activity to do with this operation, or is it just general violence here?
Keep an eye out for the state police. They're not always the good guys.
Yeah, there might be corruption within the police. And have caught someone, like just one person for this whole raid. Is this Guillermo who they were going for? Was all of this just to get him?
Bridge is 1 click out. Road is clear.
Really building up the tension here.
Everyone stay in this lane. Our agents at the border are waiting.
But now their police escort isn't with them.
Stay frosty.
They're not necessarily safe if they've crossed. There's all of this traffic here. But there could be something staged, like pretend a car's broken down to get them all on a standstill. It's really putting you at edge, but it's building distrust in like everything. All of these people who might just be living their lives.
Gun.
Gun. Gun left.
We must be engaged to engage. Stay in your vehicle. You can do what they do. If they get out, you get out.
Yeah, they can't get out because that will definitely start something, won't it?
Get ready. They can see our lane clearing. If it's coming now.
Holding it here.
Wait.
Get out of the car.
Because she says that something's wrong.
Suelta la pistola. Tírela. Huh?
He seems so on edge he's going to do something.
Fuck are we doing?
In this super civilian heavy place as well, all of these other people in their cars around them. Who was that? He looked like he was in full tactical gear, working for the police or something. Like how he said not to trust the Mexican police either.
That was fucking illegal. You want to start a war? You're a fucking spook. And him, I mean, who the fuck is that?
It seems like this is something on the regular. She's saying like, oh, it's illegal, but it sounds like something they do all the time.
There's rumors of a tunnel. Fausto's main road into Arizona.
A tunnel, so they just bypass right through the border. Don't have to worry about border enforcement or anything. And there's obviously like a fence there, a wall, but quite easy to get stuff over and climb over. It's not like all enforced, is it? Bringing in lots of water for this guy, and he was saying that he might know Alejandro anyway. Feels like a waterboarding threat or something.
Alejandro, I think he remembers you.
I'm gonna step out. Timmy.
He doesn't want to see this. Oh, and they turn the camera off. Yeah, she wants to do everything by the books. We saw that before, you know, with Reggie asking was everything by the books. And now she's in this mission where they're torturing him illegally. Was that whole mission that they went on like completely illegal? Or was it just like to do with what happened at the border when they got attacked?
Unbelievable.
That's what happens when you chop the head off a chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they got the cartel leader out of the country and now there might be a power grab.
Are we going to Tucson?
Yeah, you gotta learn how to sleep on a plane.
Yeah, they kind of characterized him as lazy earlier for sleeping on the plane, but it's just because he's so busy. It's the only opportunity he gets to sleep.
We're going to Tucson.
So Reggie is back. He's just being kind of dragged along for everything.
Call.
Yeah, it wasn't my call. Have you got another one of those?
See how stressed she is. She's smoking so much now. What is this? Holding up all these people from the coaches? I thought this was the airport that they were going to fly to Tucson, wherever they needed, but maybe they just drove there. All people have come over the border.
What are we looking for?
Just keep watching.
Yeah, she's really being kept in the dark here, isn't she? And so are we as an audience.
Déjeme ver sus manos. ¿Tiene tatuajes? No, señor. No?
Are they looking for like gang marks with tattoos that can link people to a cartel?
There's inner darkness the way you're treating us. I want to know the objective of our walk, period.
I didn't go. I didn't ask you to be here. She did.
I walked too.
Told us about a tunnel east of Nogales, near Sasaba.
Oh, so they're looking for people who know where the tunnel is.
That Manuel Diaz is called back to Mexico to see his boss. And then we know where his boss is.
Yeah, because they're still trying to locate his boss.
Go home, get some rest. We'll find our own ride.
I just drove 100 fucking
It's a
miles.
fucking blessing, trust me.
Yeah, smoking again, so she quit for a bit. So it's all to find this Alcone guy, and then he's like the leader, but like that could just be a pseudonym, or it could be Diaz who's like actually in control, and Alcone is just like his name that they have for the leader, you know? You know, of course they need to establish that there's danger when they went over into Mexico with sort of those bodies, but I hope it doesn't just like characterize all Mexicans and all of Mexico as just this like war-torn, dangerous place that you should never go to, you know?
Ven a comer. Alistamos para escuela.
And there must be something going on here with this family that we're getting little interludes with. But that might be kind of the purpose of showing this family. I feel like they're either going to play a bigger role or they're going to become like victims in all of this.
CIA is not supposed to work this side of the fence.
He's a DOD advisor.
You really believe that?
Yeah, they're just completely in the dark, aren't they?
We're not even scratching the surface. Doing what we're doing. And they are.
Yeah, they're trying to get it from the root, but by doing that, they can't do things above board.
El camino hacia el túnel.
Sí, mira, ellos esconden la entrada de...
We are gonna fuck with Manuel Diaz's wallet.
Yeah, if they can't cross, then it cuts off the money, cuts off the revenue, so it'll make him more desperate.
She tries to eat that deposit receipt, you Heimlich it right out of her, hear me?
She was like depositing dirty money or something.
Freeze all his accounts, everything. Even if his dog opening the account, I want you to freeze it. Don't go in the bank.
This is something we can actually build a case on.
Don't go in the bank, Kate.
But now there's video footage of her going in here. Is that important that her face has been seen tied to this? I guess if there's corruption somewhere along the line, she's tied to this now.
They just seized $17 million.
It's a bogus bust, Kate.
What?
You can't prosecute it.
But we can arrest Manuel for now. We can get him off the street.
You gotta get Manuel called back to Mexico. That's the objective.
We have
and
no
that's it.
jurisdiction in Mexico. We have nothing.
Yeah, she's worried about the jurisdiction, but he wants Diaz to go back so they can intercept with the leader.
When? Wait a minute.
Yeah, so he's living quite a lavish lifestyle. He's got a nice house with a pool and kids.
$9,000 is deposited into this account every day in cash for 5 years.
It's not illegal. It's suspect, but it isn't illegal.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do about it, just like he was saying.
Are you feeling that on the street? You getting the vibe that we're winning?
They need to cut it off at the source, yeah.
So if your fear is operating out of bounds, I am telling you, you are not. The boundary has been moved.
I need a fucking drink.
Is this them being followed though? This shot is like from the inside of a car. Because she's been seen on that CCTV. Oh, it's him. He's worried that she's gonna maybe shut down this whole operation because she wants to do everything by the book. It's Josh Brolin back there. Is that Josh Brolin? Not Josh Brolin, John Bernthal. Yeah.
I think the broad situation is the least of your problems.
Okay.
You do. You look like shit. Everybody in the team's talking about it. Eyebrows are a mess.
No, they're
You
not.
look like caterpillars. You look like wild beasts.
Is he taking her here to like set her up with someone? Never noticed anything wrong with her. He's like talking about her eyebrows. It's just like a movie thing when they say something's wrong. Oh, it's someone that they know. You know how in movies it's like the ugly girl has glasses and a ponytail, then she takes off her glasses and a ponytail has her hair down and she looks gorgeous, that kind of thing.
Tag's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Divorced.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to set them up. Wait, that wasn't one of the bands, like the wrist straps that was gone over around the money? Oh yeah, she's totally seen it. Yeah. So he's involved with all of this? Is he laundering some of the money, or is he... what's going on? And he knows that she recognised?
What the fuck?
What is she doing? Obviously she's had something to drink, but does she know that he saw as well?
You did this.
What is happening? So Alejandro just followed them this whole time as well? That wasn't like purposely set up because they knew that this Ted guy... Yeah, it was all set up. Wow. Was Reggie in it like too, or did he just happen to know Ted?
Come on. This is good news.
So that whole thing was all set up.
It's okay, Red.
I thought he was a friend.
I know.
Okay, so he didn't know.
How many other corrupt motherfuckers are you working with on this side of the border?
Shit, if I thought that there was fuck!
Ooh.
You know what the beauty is of you being so beat to a pulp?
It's just like the coincidence of those two being the ones hooking out that night. It's like they knew it was going to happen.
I decide whether you go to prison in a work camp in Missouri or a kill house like Corcoran.
Yeah, he's got all of the leverage over him.
I'm sorry if fuck, get it out! Get it the fuck out!
Alejandro's just like the master of torture, isn't he?
How you feeling?
Better?
No, that's such like an invasion of privacy. She just feel so violated by that.
I just tried to have sex with my hitman.
You know it's that.
Wait, so he was a hitman? So he purposely went after her? It didn't seem that way, like the way he was talking. Like he was saying, you made me do this because she started fighting against him.
10 meters northeast.
And that's the car that hides the tunnel.
Trabajando hoy.
He also spent time with his dad. Just as that giant gun right there.
No.
You shouldn't just leave it lying about though. Have a safe for it or something, I don't know. But it doesn't look like they're in the best living conditions. No, this is him leaving his house. How do they get this imagery? It's like a drone or a helicopter must be he'd notice. So is it satellite?
Because CIA can't operate within U.S. borders without a domestic agency attached.
So he is CIA.
I told you he'd be useful.
So the only reason they're there is just to make it legal.
Hey, if you find any drugs, you guys get to confiscate it. It's gonna be a big day.
Something's gonna go wrong on this mission in the finale, right? And they're gonna have to get involved. They can't just sit back in their car for the whole finale.
You don't have to do this.
I need to know what they used us for.
Doesn't matter what.
Yes, it does.
She just wants to know. Oh, and here's the guy we've been seeing all along. Is this all drugs then that he's smuggling? There's a storm brewing.
Stay in the back. I'm shooting one of my fucking team.
Why is he so nervous about that?
Roger, Alpha. We bring it. Tops are good.
This is a cool shot, the silhouette with the sunset behind them.
Weapons free, boys. Good luck.
Rules for engagement are weapons free, so just open fire at anyone basically. I like the thermal imaging imagery. I feel like it's easier to follow and see what's happening than the night vision, the green. Really focusing in on his knife here. There must be a bit of a Chekhov's gun. Someone's going to get stabbed at some point. So they're just killing anyone who's found in this tunnel. I bet this would have been really cool on the big screen with that thermal imaging technology. It does feel like I'm missing out a bit on kind of the sound design with some big heavy bass. Would be awesome here watching this in the cinema. Okay, so some area with some lights now. Yeah, I don't think they could have had a whole finale with the night vision and the thermal imaging. I wouldn't take my helmet off. That might just be a thing so we can recognize her character, because they don't all look the same with their helmets and everything on.
You okay?
Gun.
Leave it. Stay in with 6.
What happened to her gun? So she's only left with her little pistol now. Oh, they can hear the bullet fire. I'd just get out of there, run.
Freeze! Step away from him.
Put that down.
I mean it. Move away from him right now.
Ooh. Yeah, we saw her put the bulletproof vest on.
Don't ever point a weapon at me again. Catch your breath. Get back up there.
What is he doing? Driving off with this guy now?
Ambas manos en el volante.
We've seen him say that before, melanin, but I don't know what that means.
Looks like Highway 56 to 17 will intercept him if he stays on set.
Oh, so he's taking him to follow Diaz.
That was a clean fucking hop, my friend.
Except for these two assholes.
We gotta go back.
Oh, shit. Boys, we're missing one. Let's go.
They've just been like constantly using her this whole time, haven't they? She's still out of breath from being shot.
Stay there. Are you gonna stay there?
Does he know that Alejandro shot her? That obviously he wasn't intending to kill her.
He went up the wrong tunnel.
Saw part of the mission she wasn't supposed to see.
Medellin refers to a time when one group controlled every aspect of the drug trade, providing a measure of order that we could control.
That the CIA could control.
To convince 20% of the population to stop snorting and smoking that shit. Order's the best we can hope for.
So because there's so many different cartels, the US government doesn't have control over it.
Alejandro works for the fucking Colombian cartel. He works for the competition.
Alejandro works for anyone.
Does he actually?
Anyone who will turn him loose so he can get the person that cut off his wife's head and threw his daughter into a vat of acid.
So he has a vendetta against this cartel.
I'm sure as shit not the person you're gonna hide it all behind.
Are they gonna blame it all on her? She's like gonna take the fall for it as well, perhaps, because she's the person overseeing them.
That would be a major mistake.
Is it Diaz who did that to Alejandro's wife and child, or is it Alarcón, or just like this cartel in general? So it's not like, because when she said he worked for the Colombian cartel, I thought maybe he was working to give the Colombian cartel the monopoly, but he's solely working for revenge, and it's in the interest of the CIA too. But I feel like if the police officer, Diaz could just shoot at him and drive off if he thinks that it's just one police officer. Yeah, exactly.
Que tire la pistola.
Tira la pistola.
Sal del carro, Silvio.
Diaz still could have more weapons on him though. We only saw the front of the inside of his jacket. Could have one behind. Oh, it hit Silvio as well. He went like through Silvio.
Súbete.
What about Silvio? It's just left on the road to die. And they can frame that all on Diaz probably. Diaz's gun is right there. Is he already dead? The way he's turned into the side there? Just took them all out just like that. That's try the turn this has took. It's not focusing on Kate at all, is it? The thing is, I don't know if taking out Alarcón will actually do anything beneficial for the CIA. All it will do is cause a power vacuum and someone else to come into power, right? Yeah, imagine that. Seeing him, he's just sitting there having dinner with his wife and kids, something that he can't have anymore.
Niños, ¿hablan inglés? Pues hablamos inglés. Every night you have families killed, and yet here you dine.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think the people that sent you here are any different? Who do you think we learned it from?
Yeah.
The grieving lawyer. Your wife. You think she'd be proud of what you become?
So he recognizes him?
No fue personal.
It was personal for him. It's his wife and daughter. It's always personal for someone.
Para mí sí.
Not in front of my boys.
He's kind of come to terms with this already. Just not in front of the kids.
Ahora vas a conocer a Dios.
I mean, it is a taste of his own medicine, but they're innocent in all this. Didn't even get a kill shot. Purposely went for something that would harm him first.
I would recommend not standing on balconies for a while, Kate.
Yeah, she's got eyes on her now.
You remind me of the daughter they took away from me. I need you to sign this piece of paper. It basically says that everything we did was done by the book.
I mean, none of it was, of course, but the only reason they needed her there.
I can't sign that.
Sign it.
I can't sign
It will get signed either way, won't it?
that.
You will not survive here. You're not a wolf. And this is the land of wolves now.
She gonna shoot him from here? He knows. I don't think she'll actually do it. We've seen from the start she's not necessarily afraid to kill, but like when she killed at the start she regretted it, didn't she? And then when it's someone she knows face to face like that, of course she wouldn't. Yeah, I was hoping we'd see Silvio's family. And he's finally off playing football. They just have to continue their lives. Okay, so that was Sicario. I had to sit and just for half an hour take down some notes, write my thoughts down before I get into the discussion because there's a lot here and I just needed to like absorb everything that I saw really. So I think just out of the way, obviously technically gorgeous, all the sound design was great. Denis Villeneuve, you know, he is just a great director. So on that side of things, it's all amazing. But it's on the narrative side that I have like a lot to talk about here. I feel was like this is definitely very morally grey, isn't it? It's kind of questioning, do the ends justify the means? That is kind of Matt and Alejandro's position, that the ends justify the means, and then Kate and Reggie are on the side of you have to do things by the book. And we see that Matt and his team, you know, they didn't want them there because they were lawyers. They especially didn't want Reggie there because he was a lawyer, and they said how it will make the mission more difficult because they wanted to do all of these shady things. And then it turns out that they were only really there to be used so the CIA could have the jurisdiction they needed to do this operation anyway. And you know, that's kind of like a bit of bittersweetness here because Reggie wanted to go, didn't he? And Kate said, no, we need to see what they're doing. But if Kate and Reggie had actually just left and not gone on the mission couldn't have gone ahead, could it? Because they wouldn't have the people they needed from the other departments, so they would have the jurisdiction to go over and do this mission. I think they would have found a replacement anyway, but it would have taken a bit of time. Probably it would have halted the mission a little bit. So like from Kate's perspective, her like curiosity, it was like a curiosity killed the cat. She wanted to go and see what they were doing on this mission, and because of her being there is what caused the mission to actually happen. And you know, Kate wanted to do everything by the books, but in reality technically everything was by the books because she had that meeting with the higher ups where he said essentially whatever happens we're going to ignore. If something illegal happens on this mission, the US government was just going to ignore it because they knew that the results would be a benefit. It would have all been swept under the rug. So you know, Kate wanted to do things by the books, and technically it kind of was, it just wasn't her, it wasn't within her morals, was it? And I was really surprised with how the story kind of took a turn and Alejandro actually became more of the focus towards the end, didn't he? You know, Kate Kate acted more as an audience surrogate at the start. We're introduced to all of these missions, and as an audience we're purposefully kept in the dark as well. And I think part of the kind of unraveling of the story is important there. It's important that we are left in the dark. We get to see how it's unraveled. You know, at the start, Matt and Alejandro, they come in and you're quite skeptical of them. They're definitely doing things that aren't by the books. And then towards the end, we learn more of their motivation, Alejandro's like personal connection to this case. And then the reason that they're doing it is because Matt wants to reinstate Medellin, which is basically one cartel having the monopoly over everything. And because there's a cartel, then the US government can keep tabs on it and keep controlling it. But that is one thing here, is that we don't actually see the result of this mission. We see it go ahead. We see that Alejandro kills Alarcon. That's it. We don't actually see if anything worked out. And I do know that there is a sequel, so maybe the sequel is like cleaning up a bit of mess after this as well, because I imagine there is like a power vacuum after this. You don't just kill the leader of a cartel and everything goes smoothly. There's going to be a power struggle. It could be, you know, a Hydra sense that you cut off one head and 3 more grow back. You know, it could cause even more chaos actually. We don't really know what the result of this would be, so it'd be interesting to see where the sequel goes. I don't know if the sequel is worth checking out. You'll have to let me know, because I know Denis Villeneuve doesn't direct that. It's directed by someone else, and I've heard that the style of it is quite different. You know, this is kind of an action thriller, but I've heard it's almost a different genre. But I think it would be interesting to see if this mission actually succeeded in the way they wanted it to. Does it reinstate the Medellin, or does it just cause more cartels and cause this power vacuum that causes even more violence? And I think that's kind of where it's morally grey, because we see with Matt and Alejandro, they want to, for them it's the ends justify the means. They're doing all of these things not by the books, and we see these innocent people get caught in the crossfire. Alarcon's kids and wife, and then Silvio as well. If everything worked out well, maybe you could argue that that's justified, but because we don't see that, we as an audience, we can't really justify it either yet. And on the Silvio thing, you know, I said he's innocent, but some people will say like he was working with the cartel, right? But there's a lot of things you need to consider, because we see he is a police officer, but he's also like a corrupt police officer. He's working with the cartel, but we see his living condition before. That's his living conditions on a police officer salary and with getting some money from the cartel as well. Like, can you blame him for trying to earn this extra money when his living conditions are already like not great? And we see how great the living conditions were for Diaz. He had this gorgeous house with a pool and his kids and everything, and then like the underlings in the cartel, although they are working for this shady organization, you do have to consider, is that what they need to do to survive, to be able to have like an acceptable living standard, you know? And again, that is kind of ends justify the means kind of way to look at that as well. Is it okay to do these dealings with the cartel, you know, compromise your morals if it means giving your kids and your wife a better lifestyle? And I do agree that not everything can be achieved by doing it solely by the books, because sometimes the books are tipped against your favor to make change harder to come by. And I think even Kate knew that. Kate knew that there was even more drug busts this year. They said there were twice the amount of drug busts this year than there was in the last 2 years. And Kate said, you know, she acknowledged that nothing's changing. It's all still the same. There's no real change actually happening. But I don't know if you can still justify this when, you know, there were innocent people caught in the crossfire. I understand what Alejandro did by killing the wife and kids, because that was what happened to him. But they realistically were innocent in all of this. If you've seen any of my other videos on like Prince of Egypt and Attack on Titan, you know, my stance is against collective punishment, you know, killing innocent people for sins that someone else has done, even if they are related to the person. And I believe Alejandro was actually a lawyer as well, just like Kate and Reggie. He said at the end, you have to become a wolf, and Kate wasn't a wolf. Kate couldn't become the wolf. That must have been a lesson that he learned. He kind of had to become this wolf because he knew that the justice system didn't work 100%, and that's why he's now going off the book, because he couldn't make change as a lawyer. But then there's also change that you can make that isn't the change that was happening here, because even Matt said you can either do this or you can get the 20% of people who do the drugs in the US to stop taking the drug. He was also admitting there that there was change that you could make inside the US to stop the drug trafficking trafficking and all of the drugs happening all being brought in. For example, if you like decriminalized it, that would help slow down the cartels getting the drugs in. If there was like major changes made in the US, because we have seen, you know, the war on drugs in the US, it hasn't been effective, has it? Targeting decriminalization and going for rehabilitation instead of punishment is kind of the way to do it, I think. And I just have to make the distinction. There's a difference between legalization and decriminalization. Decriminalization means you won't go to jail if you're caught using. It means that you will get help you need to wane off the drug, to drop the supply, and then that will drop demand for the drug, and that's how it will affect the cartels. That's how the cartels will, if there isn't as much demand, the cartels can't make as much money through smuggling it in and everything. But that is kind of a long and slow societal change that needs to happen, rather than this, which is just single-handedly stopping one cartel, right? You know, a lot of the characters in here, they are very morally grey. And I think you could maybe argue that Kate's ideology was a bit too black and white, because she wanted to do everything by the books, but it's obvious that the books weren't working, and because the books weren't working, there was more suffering that was being caused because of that. Whereas this operation, they were trying to stop as much suffering as possible, even if the operation itself did cause some suffering with Silvio's death and Alacon's wife and family dying. But it's also very much about the cycle of violence and the knock-on effects, because the final shot, which was quite poignant, was of Silvio's family, who were completely detached from this situation, but they still faced the negative consequence. And we see at the end, Alacon's gone, but there's going to be a struggle for power, and we hear the gunshots and everything. So Mexico still wasn't that safe to live in. It seems kind of, even if they made America safer, did they make Mexico safer? Not at all, really. Did they really consider the repercussions for the people within Mexico? Of course, they're the CIA, they have America's best interest in mind, but is it kind of throwing the people of Mexico under the rug so America can have this control more, you know? And that was something that Alacon said. He criticized America. He said, where do you think we learn all of these things from? They learnt it all from the American methods and everything. And Alacon, he makes that point, and you could also kind of apply it to America doesn't do things by the book, so that justifies the people in Mexico not doing things by the book. And that just leads to a cycle again, another like cycle of violence. Going back to earlier on in the movie, what was going on with Ted? I don't think I like fully understood it. Obviously, Reggie and him were friends, and Reggie wasn't in on this kind of act to get them together so that they could ambush him. Was Ted a hitman for Kate? Kate was caught on the CCTV, so some people knew who she was. So was Ted put up to kill Kate by his because he was like a corrupt cop? Was he put up by the cartel to kill Kate? And was he purposely like pursuing her in the club because of that? Or was it just a chance meeting? Because it feels way too lucky for it to just be a chance meeting there that the CIA were relying on, right? She said oh, she tried to sleep with her hitman, but I never got the sense that he was purposely trying to kill her, because he only started attacking her when she started fighting. She saw he was part of the cartel with the band, and then she starts attacking him, and he retaliates in self-defense kind of, and then is straggling her, and he's saying you made me do this. So I thought it was just him thinking, what is happening, what's going on, why is she attacking me, I have to defend myself. But then she says the hitman stuff, so that was a bit confusing for me. I'm not 100% sure. That might just be something that was up for interpretation. Just not sure if that whole situation was staged, or if it was just luck, if it was only staged by the CIA, or if it was staged by the cartel as well. But of course, Reggie, he felt bad, but he wasn't involved in that at all, was he? I don't think he had any inkling that that was a thing at all. It was just a coincidence that he knew Ted from way back. From the very start of the movie, we see that Kate has a conscience. We only see her kill once, and it was because she was shot at, and then she shot back, and we see immediately it goes back, focuses on her face, and she is a bit shocked herself. She's probably a bit disgusted in herself, it seems, and she was kind of dealing with that immediately after. We see like Reggie throwing up, but I think he was like seeing those bodies and probably the smell and everything with the bodies that were in the wall. But it was definitely something that was like on her conscious this whole time, and I think that's a good way at the start to set up her morality a bit. That kind of sets the tone for her character throughout the rest of the movie, doesn't it? This might be reading a bit too far into it, but there might be something here in how Kate as a woman is constantly manipulated by these men throughout the whole movie, but then also she's shown, you know, she's this well-trained military woman, she's quite strong-willed, but even then she gets like manhandled quite a lot by Matt when she has that fight with Matt. And then the same with Ted, which was like a sexual interaction that turned violent, and she's like constantly being manipulated and feels like kind of powerless at the hands of some of these men. So there could be symbolism for, you know, sexual assault, that kind of thing, how powerless she was at the hands of these men throughout the entire movie, both kind of physically and how she was emotionally manipulated by them as well. There are like parallels you can draw there, I think. Okay, so I think that's everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment. If you really loved it, be sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date for all the future uploads. If you're interested in a reaction to the sequel, let me know and I'll get to that at some point. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.